live. We're live, Hal.
Okay.
So introduce.
Hello, this is Keith Seymour. I'm here with my friend Albert Moore.
Hello.
This is Keith Seymour with Real Talk, and we're here to talk about the disastrous Trump campaign, Trump performance. Even in the valid points that he made, such as she cannot get, her promise to, which we'll deal with later. She cannot follow through. It's highly unlikely that she can follow through with her promise to get Congress to pass a bill that overturns the Dobbs Supreme Court thing that overturned Roe v. Wade. People weren't listening because of the way that he composed himself. Okay. I want to state that this is unusual in that usually when a vice president runs, it's because the president can't run for a second term.
Or chooses not to.
Or chooses not to.
Because Theodore Roosevelt chose not to.
Okay. But in this particular case, they thought that Biden was going to run. And in my view, what would have been better had Biden stepped down as president, allowed Harris to step up, take place for the rest of the term. And this would have given her more resources, such as the franking privilege, which states that you can use on taxpayer funds, send out anything in regarding your current elected political position.
Okay, but let's talk about the debate. So let's go through the debate, because I don't get too lost in that whole thing. So in the grand scheme of it, how do you feel Trump did? Because he's definitely the talk of the town. How do you feel he did in the debate?
Well, I agree with, I'm not a big fan of Chris Christie, and I'm not a big fan of Donna Brazile. The first is a Republican, the other is a Democrat. But I do agree with him that basically that on substance, as far as presentation, she came out ahead. And the reason she came out ahead, as she pointed out to me before we went on the air, is that she is a politician. He's not. He's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But more important than that, she is a prosecuting attorney. So she goes in to a case thinking, I have to prove that this person is guilty, or in this case, this person is not fit. Okay. She doesn't use the preponderance of the evidence, although in this case that would suffice. So she went in, so she uses the Socratic method, which basically is taught to every journalist and every lawyer that is ever trained. And what that is you argue both sides of the case so that you know how to come back. She actually had someone who imitated Donald Trump.
Yeah, for her practice.
For her practice.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's important. Trump just basically maybe had questions thrown at him.
No, they had policy training.
Okay, policy training. But basically,
they had policy training. Policy training was a training method set up and designed to help them stay on topic of policy, not to get lost in ramblings.
You agree, but what I'm saying is she did the same thing, but she added a component to her to where someone was going to behave in her training exactly like Trump has, and he did this. He's done this before. Okay, this person, I don't recall his name, but they interviewed him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he acted exactly, or pretty as closely as he could, to exactly how Trump would react. and that was part of her practice. All he had, so she had that extra component, and that's why she won. Now, you and I argued.
Hang on. I refuse to say that's the reason why she won, because at some point, his performance is why she won. It had nothing to do with her training. I mean, anyone could have gone on stage. The man flipped out at simple statements. You can't get over the fact that he brought up cats and dogs being eaten. And a lot of that was started off of her saying, people are leaving your rallies of boredom. Trump doesn't like to be called a bored individual. But as soon as she said that, he went on a 90-minute rant about how bad her policies are. Dogs and cats are being eaten. And people taking over towns.
Yeah, that's part of the immigration.
That was all of because she said that her rallies are small. Like, look, that is nothing to sit here and prepare for. Late night comedians do that all the time.
But that was a trap that was set ahead of time.
There is no trap to be set.
No.
Is just
that was practice. If you want to tick Donald Trump off, this is what you do. You say that people leave his rallies. It may not be true.
It is true, actually. There are people leave.
Okay, but she used his arrogance and his pride against him.
Well,
what he needed to do, and we discussed this before we came on the air, Chris Christie and all the others that know him, the journalists and the politicians, even Lindsey Graham, said that, look, when he trained under Clinton, he had a great deal of respect, okay, for Clinton. He said, this is a smart, she says, I don't like her politics, I don't like her, I don't blah, 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 but she's smart. She's a good debater. There's a great deal of respect.
Okay, yeah. What does that have to do with anything?
Okay.
Because we're talking about something that happened in 2016. Let's talk about
what I'm talking about is Kamala Harris is consistent in her approach regardless of who she deals with.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't make a difference if she's dealing with Joe Blow or a billionaire.
That's fine.
Okay. Donald Trump gauges how he's going to deal with someone in a very inconsistent manner based on whether he respects them as a good debater. So that's what and because of that, and that's what caused.
Okay, so how would you judge his Republican primary debate?
I think that basically he basically screwed the puppy on this one.
No. I'm talking. Okay, you're talking about the Hillary debate. Since we're talking about 2016, I want to go back further because you say his style changes based upon the respect that he has on people. That's your statement, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm talking about how would you gauge his debate tactics in the 2016 Republican primary when he was insulting everyone on stage. You tell me he's inconsistent. Trump is consistent throughout all his debates.
Yeah, but that's primary. If you want to judge him,
no, because it's still a debate. It was still a debate stage, and either way, you still got to perform. You still have to make your points. You still have to sell yourself. It's the same thing. And they say it may not be the same because there's more people, but I'm saying the tactic that he used is the same tactic he's always used. He hasn't changed anything. If anything, I'll say the Hillary debate's an outlier from what he has consistently done. If there's any real outlier in his debate style, it's the Biden debate. And that's only because Biden just wasn't capable of debating.
Yeah. And that's what he was looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. I bet he was. But all I'm doing is just trying to debunk whatever that whole Chris Christie statement is. Chris Christie just said a lie.
No.
And I don't think there's any validity to it. And I don't think there's any validity going forward with it anyway. Because regardless of what he did in 2016, he's not going to do that now. Stakes are different. Times are different. He went in 2016, whatever. Hey, if I lose, I lose. It's house money. It ain't my money. It ain't my loss. Now, if he loses in the election, he can probably go to prison. It's a little bit different of a stakes. And I don't know how well Trump does when his back is actually against the wall. Because you say he's a good businessman, but he's had a lot of failed businesses.
Granted.
So I don't know. Trump Towers is no longer standing. Keep that in mind. Trump Plaza, remember? No, not Trump Plaza, the casino, remember all that? Yeah, it's in the ground. WrestleMania 3 was held there.
Okay, but still,
Tell me about a good businessman.
His key thing, and people still, even after that debate, people said they trusted him more on immigration.
Because he just wants to throw people out.
Okay.
And that's all people want. So it's like,
but he had a chance. He said, David Muir asked him, how would you do this? And that's when he went off into the tangent about immigrants eating dogs and cats, which totally just, I mean, the people, the Republicans in the spin room said, oh my God, no, he didn't just go there. No. So he had a chance to do that. Now, he also, he came back a little, but not, it wasn't the best, but he came back a little where she said, well, he had met with the Taliban. And he said, well, yeah, I told him, look, you mess with us. Here's a picture of your house. Guess what's going to happen to it? Don't mess with us. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. This is what we've agreed to. This is what we need to do. Okay. Now, Trump's a braggart. Okay. But the point is the style here, and this is still going to be a close election. It's too close to call.
Well, I don't know. It's still early too. So.
And see, by now you would have had at least two presidential debates and at least one vice presidential debate with another one coming up, of both or each. So it's because of, and that's what makes this difference. Now, I think Biden should have just let her run as an incumbent, and because even if she had been elected under the Constitution, she could run for 2 more times because she.
Yeah, I hear you. Stay on top. Stay on top.
But Trump, that was a trap that she.
You keep saying it's a trap, like it was. Okay, fine. It was a trap.
It was strategic. It was strategy.
Okay, it was fine.
Okay.
That's fine. But I mean, even then, all right. Well, I should have follow-up question. Should he accept a third debate?
Yes.
How will it benefit him?
Well, Trump says he's not afraid of Harris. Trump says Harris is an unintelligent person. She can't do. Okay. Trump said he could take her, if he, right now he's saying, I think about it. And you have to go back before this debate. He said, I'll take her on. I want a second debate. And the Harris campaign was like, no, maybe not. Now it's reversed. And he's saying, I'll think about it. If he doesn't take her up on this, he looks like a coward. He loses some of his base. Okay.
Oh, you think so, huh? Well, I guess so.
Okay. I mean, if you've got Lindsey Graham, who is his most ardent supporter, saying, oh boy, he really screwed this one up. Okay. And I know Lindsey. Okay. I know him. Okay.
I hear you.
If you have him saying, and you have his saying, oh God, Ben Carson said, oh no, but I've never trusted Ben Carson anyway. But
because he's black.
No, because he blows whichever the way the wind blows, as far as I'm concerned.
So how do you feel about the JD Vance pick? You talk about it should have been a vice presidential pick. Let's talk about that from a standpoint. So, if they were to do a vice presidential debate, do you feel confident that JD Vance can hold his own?
I think he could.
How do you feel about him being the pick that he is? Because before you said this is a great
I didn't
pickup.
like him as a pick. I don't trust him.
You said it was a great pickup.
I said it was strategically, it was smart.
Yeah, and now what are you saying? That it isn't?
he got someone who basically wrote a alleged rags to riches story.
Oh, you love that book apparently.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
And that's an inspirational story.
Mm.
That was a smart pick. He comes from the middle of the country.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay. Kamala Harris also picked someone from the middle of the country to even things out. She didn't pick Shapiro, and she said she didn't pick Shapiro because of the Gaza war and things. And so he called her an anti-Semite, but that was
That's fine. That's fine. I don't want to get into all that.
But I think that's going to be more evenly prepared than the presidential debate. Now, I will say this: I have always been very biased in that governors do better than senators.
They got to deal with the people more up front.
Yeah, because they have to deal. Senators deal with just basically a district. Okay.
Yeah, I get you.
And so do House of Representatives. Governors have to deal with a diverse group of people in a state. Okay, not just Democrats, but Republicans, blacks, whites, Hispanics. So so Vance was picked to basically do away with the criticism that, oh, Trump's privileged. He can't deal with anyone who's privileged. I don't trust Vance because he's just gone back and forth hit the Hitler thing and just, I don't know.
I didn't.
Okay. But
you talk about just goes wherever the wind blows.
Yeah.
I mentioned that about Ben Carson. I guess I brought up JD Vance for the same reason, because I feel like that's kind of what he did.
That's exactly what he did. Yeah.
Okay.
JD Vance I wouldn't be surprised if JD Vance poisoned
I don't say that now.
Okay, well, JD Vance is looking to become the next president. Okay, he's a social climber, and if he has to switch parties in order to do it, he'll do it. That's how Waltz, on the other hand, he's a devout Democrat. I don't agree with his politics, but I trust him more because he is a devout Democrat, and I can respect that he's going to stay with his values. Waltz was picked because he comes from the same background, or a similar middle class background, or lower middle class background that Harris came from. But they both made it, into the echelon of law and politics. Vance, you brought up Vance, and he was asked, well, what do you think about, and I think he basically gave this answer on this question, but he said, I don't have to veto because basically it's up to the states. That's, as far as it's up to the states, that's the way people wanted it. Okay. So
is that the way people want it? Okay.
And he said, and David Muir asked him about an abortion. A federal ban. Would you veto? He said, I've never even spoken to Vance about this. And Vance had to.
There seems to be a lot of that type of statement where it's like Vance and him don't seem to be on the same page.
Which is why Vance is more radical, in my opinion, than Trump. He just hides it a lot better because he can.
I guess. I hear you. I feel like either way, they're not communicating. One person's saying one thing, and the other person's kind of going back like, that's not what I said. There seems to be that kind of disconnect. And I don't know if she had a disconnect on a campaign trail.
Well, that's also the advantage that Harris has. Harris communicates with her vice presidential candidate. She sees him as an intricate part of her administration. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they've had the discussions on these, probably. I mean, that's what I would gather. On the other hand, Trump basically sees the vice presidential pick basically for what it traditionally is, and that is my second in command, whose basically job, according to the Constitution, is to voice my opinion in order to break a tie in the vote, or wait for me to die or become incapacitated in order to get a promotion. He's not relevant. He'll do exactly what I tell him to do. Okay. And that's Trump all over. I mean, when he said, when she said, well, these cabinet members have come out and said this to you, about you. He said, well, I fired, they were all the ones that I fired. Okay, that's a legitimate thing. But that showed the instability. He fired so many people that showed the instability of his administration. Now, I'm not saying that I did agree with some things that he did, the tariff on China. And they dealt with the tariffs on China. You can argue that either way. It could benefit the country. It could hurt the country. That's a wait and see sort of thing. But if I had to say there was a winner, I wouldn't. I'm not satisfied on policy issues because Trump. But on presentation, composure, even when she lobbed accusations at him, which, to my knowledge, there's no proof of, he discriminated against people of color or religion who were tenants of his, or because he went to his apartment. And I have not had time to look that up.
Well, you should probably look it up before you just start saying that it's false, because I don't know. I've heard that one before too. The fact is, the first claim is technically correct. So the first claim is a claim of president debate and how it stacks up. 1970 discrimination case against a real estate business is settled without any admission of guilt. That was the case brought against many real estate firms. Trump and his father fiercely fought 1973 Trump and his father fiercely fought a 1973 discrimination lawsuit brought by the Justice Department for their alleged refusal to rent apartments to predominantly white buildings to black tenants. Testimony showed that the application filed by black apartment seekers were marked with C for color. The settlement that ended the lawsuit did not require Trump to explicitly acknowledge that discrimination had occurred, but that government description of the settlement said Trump and his father have failed and neglected to comply to the Fair Housing Act.
Okay, that's fair. But let's look at that. That's 1973.
It doesn't matter. The fact is, She never said when.
Okay.
What's your point?
The way that when I was watching, the way that she said,
you made it seem like it was recent?
More recent, like.
Well, it doesn't matter. The fact is that it happened. That's the point she's making. He has his past.
And several other realtors did it. That was
okay, but they're not running for president.
Okay, but
she can only debate the person in front of him
because he did that in 1973. It
doesn't matter. The fact is, he did it. He did it.
He did it in 1973.
Okay.
We live in South Carolina. They were doing that in 1980.
Okay, but he's running for president. She's not saying the other people are innocent. She specifically said him because he's the one on stage. She brought him up because he's the one running for president. Let's keep the focus on him. Not the whataboutism of everyone else. They're wrong too. They're wrong. But we're talking just about Trump.
Here's the thing. And this is where I agree with what's his name? Ben Carson. They need to check because that needed to be fact checked.
But that was fact checked. The fact check she was not wrong.
No, when they said they fact checked him on everything that he said in the debate.
What does she need to be fact checked on?
But had someone said,
What does she need to be fact checked on? Give me the
I'm
time.
about to tell you.
Just tell me.
If David Muir or Lindsay Davis
Okay.
had said, okay, Mr. Trump, this is true. However, Vice President Harris, this happened in 1973 when a lot of this else was going on. Can you name a more recent time?
What does it even matter? Because she never even said a date. She never said a date. She just said you. And then, you know, even implications, Seymour, that's not actually old news. Most people knew this. If you don't know this about Donald Trump, you don't know your candidate. That's the thing about it. That's the reason why, me personally, what she said is like, oh yeah, because this was brought up before when he was running for president.
That's 19. Okay.
What does the date have to do with the fact that it is a fact that it happened? That's just the point. It happened. Regardless of your interpretation, because she's not responsible for how you interpret it. What does that fact that she mentioned have to do with the time frame?
Because the way she worded it, she said this was a this was a continuous thing that went on. She even mentioned his hotels. Now, the fact is, if this been the 80s, had this been the 90s, okay, fine. But this was Trump and his father. So now, yes, I knew that about him, but I thought she was referring to some, and she came off.
Again, that's your interpretation. You're blaming her for how you took it. You're blaming her for how you took it.
She said this was continuous. She said it was continuous. She did not name one specific thing. She said she didn't say.
So you want to know something else? You want another racist thing he's probably done? Is that what you're saying? What about when he said we don't want to take people from shithole countries, and those countries were predominantly countries of color?
Okay.
That was during his presidency. Is that not kind of a as backward statement to be making as a president?
Yes, but we're talking about so
that's not good enough.
She would not. That's out there. Okay.
Oh well, I mean, that was out there too.
But what we're talking about is virtually every renter in 1973 was doing that.
Okay, but they're not running for president. What does that have to do with it?
No,
that does matter. Hold on. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing when the one of them, if they were running for president, you say that about them. But they're not on the stage. What does that have to do with anything?
It has everything to do.
No. Well, you saying that everyone was doing it. First of all, not everyone was doing it. It was a lot of people in that New York area that was doing it, but not everyone.
And in California.
Okay, but secondly, they're not running for office right now. If they're running for office, best believe that was probably brought up against them. If they ran for mayor, I bet it was brought up. If they ran for governor, I bet it was brought up. You heard this on a national stage because he's there. That's the reason why she brought it up to him, because he was in that lawsuit. If everyone else is, do you want her to go by name? Is that what you have prefer?
If she had just said this, he has a history, he has a history, but she specifically stated this was a continuous, habitual thing. He has a habit of doing this. Those were her words.
He does have a habit of doing something.
Okay. A habit means there's a continuous thing.
Oh yeah.
So
there's no.
Okay. So, what happened in 1973? Okay. Okay. A lot of things happened in 1973.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I mean, Mayor Coble, who was, his parents were in real estate. They pulled the same crap.
When's the last time? When did you watch this debate?
I watched. Yes, I watched the entire thing.
No, I'm saying, did you re-watch the debate?
Yes, I did.
When?
I've watched try to rewatch it every day. But the point is, yeah, that happened in 1973. Okay, what has he done since then?
Well, you said it wasn't factual. No, I just brought up the fact.
I
factual.
I wasn't aware of it being factual.
Okay, but the fact
But
is,
I-
but no, the
but-
fact is
but
factual.
now-
So now
I am aware
we're
of-
changing the goalpost. So now, okay, now that it's
I am
factual, can you
aware-
give me something that's recent? You're moving the goalpost.
I'm aware. I was aware of that.
You're moving the goalpost.
I was aware of that. But her words were, it was a continuous
Okay,
thing.
okay, so that's the one thing. What's another thing she needed to be fact checked on then? How about that?
Daddy gave, well, this is kind of,
Okay, she over exaggerated the amount. It's
Okay.
about $1 million.
yeah.
Okay, but so what?
Okay.
Okay, I mean,
Okay.
listen, has your father ever given you $1 million?
My father died when I was 11.
That's not what I asked you. Did your father ever give you $1 million?
No.
No, exactly. Regardless of which, he still got some money from his parents to say he's a self-made individual. That's a lot of good money to start off to be self-made.
Okay, great. The
And even then, he corrected her. And she didn't back down because, she was like, okay, whatever. Most people don't even know what the amount was. All they know is that Trump did get a lump sum from his father to kind of start his venture. I mean, even $500,000 is a lot of money,
okay, right. But
especially in that era.
now Trump.
What's another thing she needed to be fact checked on? I need this. I want to
Okay.
get all this out.
Okay.
This is the thing that
She made a promise that if she was elected,
Okay, that's not a
No,
thing
no,
you
no,
can
no.
fact check on.
yes, it is. It can't. It is.
Okay.
It's called the United States Constitution.
Okay, but hold on a second. She made a promise, but did she make a claim that was not factual? I can make you a bunch of promises. You can say I'm
No,
lying
no.
until I do them.
She-
No, wait, Seymour. Just understand I want to stop real quick. Give me a claim that she made that
She
wasn't
said-
factual.
she
Not a
said-
promise, a claim.
She claimed she had the ability. She said, "I will sign this into law. Congress will pass."
Oh,
this."
well, you're going to see this shit run for
She
president?
said, no. Okay. First of all, she is a prosecuting attorney. She should know her Constitution.
She knows the Constitution.
No, apparently she doesn't, because if she did, because Trump, although he was rambling, he was right. She can't get the votes for that.
Okay, she can't get the votes. All right. But
Okay.
hey, that still doesn't stop anyone from saying I'll get the votes. Everybody says that when they run for president. I'm a bipartisan candidate. I'll reach across the aisles. She just didn't say those key phrases. But it was the same statement.
You honestly believe she's going to get a bipartisan?
It doesn't matter. The fact is, Seymour, you stop. Because you're missing the point. You're going off the rails. You're not even listening to what you're saying. I'm waiting for you to give me a false claim. You're telling me about her broken promises that she has yet to break. I don't care about that. All politicians have broken promises. No new taxes. That's an infamous line.
Okay.
That's fine. But
there's not a-
Seymour, stop.
There's no possibility that she.
It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm asking you to give me a falsified claim. Just like how Trump said people are eating animals. That's a false claim. What's a false claim that she's making? What's another one that she made? Not a promise, not something that'll be in the future,
Okay.
something that happened in the past
She
or
said-
present.
That he invited the Taliban to the White House.
Okay, that's a question. Let's take a look. Did Trump invite the Taliban to the White House? Thank you. That's a good question, right? She did say that. Taliban. The Taliban.
Taliban. Taliban.
To where again? Camp David?
To the White House.
I thought she said Camp David.
Doesn't matter. It's in a.
I could have sworn she didn't say the White House. Oh. Trump says he secretly invited Taliban leaders, Afghanistan leaders, president. This was back in September 2019. He was president by this point. President Donald Trump revealed Saturday that he secretly invited Taliban leaders and Afghanistan president to meet with him in the U.S., but called the meeting off before they were scheduled to land on Saturday. Trump said in a series of tweets that he is forced to cancel the meeting, which would have taken place on Sunday, Camp David, Maryland, after they admitted to a deadly attack in Afghan and the capital, Kabul. President said peace negotiations with the Taliban, which had been going on for months, were officially off the table. He also revealed that Afghan President Ghani and the Taliban leaders were originally scheduled to arrive in the U.S. Saturday night.
And he admitted that.
Oh, well,
he stated those facts.
Well, what I'm saying, I asked you for a false claim. If he admitted it, then why don't you have me look it up?
No, he explained exactly as that.
Hang on. This is Trump's tweets. I'm saying that for the listening. Trump tweeted, unbeknownst to almost everyone, the major Taliban leader and separately the president of Afghanistan were going to secretly meet with me at Camp David on Sunday. They were coming to the United States tonight. Unfortunately, in order to build false leverage, they admitted to an attack in a cabal that killed one of our great soldiers, 11 people, immediately canceled the meeting and called off peace negotiations. What kind of people would kill so many in order to seemingly strengthen their bargaining position? They didn't. They only made it worse. If they cannot agree to a ceasefire during these very important peace talks, I would even kill 12 innocent people, then they probably don't have the power to negotiate a meaningful agreement anyway. How many more decades are they willing to fight?
And he explained that.
Okay, but it was still one of those things.
Okay, but she made it sound like he was, because she accused him of being writing love letters to dictators. Well, and he explained.
Well, hang on a second. That he did salute. Who was it, a Korean leader? He loves Putin.
Yeah, well.
So I mean, let's not act like he doesn't have
fetish. He did fail on that. He did fail on that. David Muir did ask him about do you feel it's in the best interest of the Ukraine to win? He stated, I just think it's in the best interest of everybody for this war to end. That's a cop-out.
It is a cop-out because he's basically saying that, listen, as soon as I get into office, Putin can take it.
Because
if he gets in office,
wars can end anyway. Okay. He needed to be specific, and even if it hurt, he needed to be specific for people to have respect for him. I'll pick up the phone and do this the day after I'm elected because a lame duck president has very limited power. The only time that even happened was when Reagan, and those negotiations were already under Carter had already started those negotiations. They just came out on the day that Reagan was inaugurated. So that was a joint, in a sense, between an outgoing and an incoming president. So you can't even look at that. But what I'm saying is it would benefit him to have another debate. He would be best advised to get someone to coach him. But I want to make my statement about the Congress signing the abortion law, because that is an issue that Americans need to know about.
Okay.
Kamala Harris said that when I get into office, I'm going to have Congress pass the bill that overturns the Dobbs Act, which overturned Roe v. Wade.
You're saying she can't do that?
Okay. Trump rambled on and said she can't do that. She can't even get not with 50-50. He's actually right. If you look at the Constitution, when the Supreme Court rules something as unconstitutional, okay? The only way to get it codified in law is to pass an amendment.
You saying she can't get an amendment passed?
And, well, she would need 2/3 of both houses to agree to that.
Yep.
Okay.
And that probably won't happen.
That's probably not going to happen. I don't see Republicans and presidents joining on this issue. Okay. Okay. Secondly, I don't see 2/3 of both houses being controlled by one party ever in my lifetime. Okay, that's just not going to happen. The last time a Supreme Court ruling was overturned, okay, as unconstitutional, within it with a constitutional amendment, was the 16th Amendment, which gave us the income tax.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was the last time.
How convenient was that? Huh?
Okay, okay, and that took 3 years. It took 4 years to be ratified. Okay, you have up to 7 years. Now the ERA, which was given an additional time past its 7 years, never even passed. So, and it lost by 2 states. But so that for her to make that promise to women is just wrong. It's insincere. At the very least, it's just stupid. Okay, and I was actually appalled that someone that high up, that with that much knowledge, would make a statement that anyone in the 10th grade, even in the 6th or 7th grade, would know is not true. Okay.
Okay. Well, okay, so she made a promise that she more than likely won't be in the key. But the whole gambit will be, you know what she's going to say? To get this done, we have to do this. You're saying that you'll never see the House or the Senate, but that doesn't mean she can't try. Because that would be the next goal. If the Supreme Court is packed with conservative judges, well, then we have to pack the Houses and the Senate with them or liberal. Yeah, I guess Democratic liberal support.
Okay, but that's.
That's just all campaigning.
That's all campaigning.
So exactly. So it's not an impossible feat. It's an extremely hard feat. To be impossible means that there's no scenario that could ever work. If hypothetically you could get a whole House Democrat, then it could work. So it's not an impossibility. It's just hard that it seems impossible. But it could actually happen. Slim chance, but it could, right? Even if it's a slim chance, it could. That's the thing about it. It's not a 0%. Because there's a reality that could actually happen that way.
It's a 99.9.
Okay, whatever you want to put. The point is, it could happen. So it's not an impossible. So I can even say she's not lying. It's just wishful thinking. But it is still something, it's in the rule book. Like, if they could get those votes, it can happen. It's not anything that implies it will happen. The only way is if they just keep it balanced, Republican, Democrat, which will be the hope, right? But, just in case that one day it ever does, then that's it.
But the reason I bring this up is many Americans, unless they are political geeks like you and I are, they actually believe that would basically need a majority, a 50.
Do you know that some Trump supporters are happy with him being a dictator? Even though it could probably never happen. Do you know that during the time Obama was president, people were fine if he became a dictator? It doesn't matter. You give some American people too much credit. These people can go on stage and say 1,001 things. Hold on, wait. These people can say 1,001 things. Inaccurate or not. It's all promises, whether they keep them or not. By the time this whole election season is over, no one's going to be talking about politics. Okay. When Biden was president, the only people talk about politics are people in the politics.
Okay, I'm agreeing with you up to a point. Okay. Let's flip the script here then. Okay. Oh, by the way, 2025.
Come on.
We'll talk about.
Get to your point.
There are those who say that Trump would change the Constitution so that the president can run for more than one term. Okay, that's a constitutional amendment. It's not going to happen.
Oh, I hear you, but that doesn't mean that
Okay.
you know.
So let's say,
hold on, hang on a second. You know, the Supreme Court did give him immunity.
okay, but that's different.
It is different, but it's just
okay.
it's
No,
just
what I'm
something.
saying is, the Constitution of the United States, since the death of Franklin Roosevelt, who's died during his third term, and that was during World War II. And he's the only one that's ever been elected 3 times.
Yeah, 4 terms.
Was it 4 times?
Yeah, 4 terms.
Oh, 4 terms. Okay. So at that point,
I know they changed the rule, but
they said,
okay. Regardless of which, you're giving a history lesson. That's fine.
So you can't
we know.
Change that.
I know you can't. I know you can't. But all I'm saying is, people. He said he'd be a dictator day one, right? Just one day. He said that. Hang on. But there are people who will find if he were to do that. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, even in the hypothetical scenario of things that can happen, you do have people who support these folks who still want that to happen. Yeah, Harris can't make this vote happen. But you know, there's people who are like, oh, but if she gets in there, it can. And then when she can't, you know what they're gonna say? It's the Republicans' fault. So there's just still like that's just typical. What is it? Obama had the House and the Senate when he went into office.
Yeah.
And yet he couldn't get anything done. Well, not anything, because he had a pretty good 100 days. But there were some things he couldn't get accomplished. And I remember I used to talk to people about it.
Including Obamacare.
Yeah, okay, Obamacare's a good one, right? He had both House and Senate, couldn't get Obamacare passed. Yeah, you know, people still blame Republicans.
Republicans were irrelevant.
I know, but the point is, that's what they were doing. See, that's the thing about it, right? This is all just chicken fodder. It's just back and forth mudslinging. You're so hung up on what she said because you're taking it literal. I'm telling you, don't take it literally. That's what I'm telling you. Don't. Because she only said it for the theatrics of the stage. She only said it to still get. No.
She said it throughout her campaign.
It doesn't matter. It's still theatrics. Because regardless of whether she can do it or not, that's still going to get the support she needs for the votes. Because that's all she needs. Let her get the votes and then she'll figure out what she does when she gets in the office. She's just trying to get in the office. She's going to say a lot of things. Again, I'm telling you, don't take it literal. Because you already know it won't happen. So why are you taking it literal? Oh, because she's lying to the American people? What politician doesn't?
I'm trying to educate. What
you can educate. That's fine. You know who you're educating? People who already think like you. That's the thing that some people miss about their podcast. If you have an audience, your audience thinks the way you think already. If you're trying to reach people who don't think the way you do, you got to do things you don't normally do to get that audience. Okay. So don't sit here and quote things they already know.
Well, some people, some people could send this to someone who doesn't know. But the point is, our Constitution says that you have to change an amendment. The only time an amendment has ever been overturned was the prohibition. Okay. You have to have a 2/3 vote in both houses, and it has to be ratified by 3/5 of the states. So about 35 to 37 of the states have to ratify it. After about 67 senators and there are 435 senators, so 75% of that was 300 and something. 250, something like that.
I don't think it's that.
But my point is, a lot of people feel that, oh yeah, if she gets 50% and 50% and she's in office, her vice president breaks a tie, she's got a congressional, she's got that law passed. That's not true. I'm just saying that as information. Okay, not everybody knows that, and people that know that don't always recall that. Okay, she is an attorney. She deals with facts. She should know better than to be doing that. she brings herself almost down to the level of Trump when she does.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you right now, she looked good in that debate. She didn't bring herself down to that level to the point where it was like, oh my God, this is a hard choice. Now it's like, okay, well, at least she seems confident. That guy's just going crazy.
They're pretty much even even after 2 or 3 days, on the economy, they're pretty much even.
Do you trust the polls?
Not completely.
But you were certainly not quoting them because polls told us that Hillary's going to like dog walk that guy.
I'm just talking about in the swing states, that within the margin of error, it's pretty much a tie. I think it would benefit Kamala Harris to have that second debate.
Well, that's what she wants it.
Okay.
Trump doesn't want it. She wants to debate.
I think it would benefit Trump.
Well, Trump already feel like he's won. You're saying that he's close. You're saying the race is close. As far as Trump is concerned, if the race is close, he can only do more damage. Because the race is already close.
If Trump,
hang on, if the race is already close, and people are already saying that the debate, depending on who you watch, either will say it was a close tie, Trump did well, or Harris won. That seemed to be what the consensus is. Only people say Trump did bad are the people who say Harris won. But they usually just saying Harris won. If that's the case, then wouldn't it behoove Trump, since he's already close in the polls, to just kind of stay away from the debate?
No.
Like, look.
Because as I stated earlier, here's a guy that has come out boldly said, I'm not afraid of this woman.
Well, he went to talk to her. He had a debate.
Okay. I'm not afraid of her.
He didn't back down.
She's stupid.
She's an
I'm
idiot.
more intelligent. Well, okay, if you're more intelligent than her, then you're not afraid to debate her.
He's not afraid to debate her. He just doesn't see the point in debating her.
Okay.
That's two different things.
But she can come back. Her campaign, if he says no, her campaign can come back and say, he's afraid to debate me. If the guy had any balls, he'd debate me.
She could say that.
Okay. And at that point, you have just won some of the Nikki Haley moderates, possibly, not total, but possibly over to your side. You have also just won, because right now, Liz Cheney is significant. Dick Cheney is not. Because more people know who Liz Cheney is than they do Dick Cheney.
Well, I don't know. People know Dick Cheney very well.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't significant when he was Bush's vice president.
Yes, he was very significant. Most people blame him for everything that happened in the Middle East because they say that it was his plan. You ever see the movie W?
Yeah.
You ever read like the books and stuff? They really kind of point Dick Cheney as the mastermind in the Bush administration.
Well,
don't tell me he's a second banana. The guy shot someone in the face. That was public news.
Yeah. Well, that's basically the job of the vice president, to take the blame for
to shoot people in the face.
No, to take the blame for the president's screw ups.
Well, I don't know, because I don't recall Dan Quayle taking that blame. That was George Bush, and they put it all on him. They just said Dan Quayle can't spell potato. That's an idiot. I don't recall Al Gore being blamed for Monica Lewinsky being in the president's Oval Office.
Well. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know a lot of vice presidents that get
I'm
blamed.
talking about policy.
Even policies. Harris ain't getting none of the blame that Biden's been getting. She's a guilty by affiliation, but they're like, well, that's Biden. He don't know what he's doing. The whole Afghan thing, not once did I hear Harris' name. Biden.
Oh,
so I don't know.
And that's what's working in Trump's behalf. Is that really she's in and this is why Biden should have just stepped down and let her take over. And get
No.
Okay.
You don't do that. No, you don't step down and let her take over, because then you can't put all that blame on her, and then already be enough on her plate. Hold on. Because you run out of the presidency, and then just let her run for president. Because that way you can't really point anything in this country to her. Because then it's just going to sound like Trump is rambling about Biden. You're not running against Biden. You're running against Harris.
Okay, but see, Trump would be forced to focus on her.
He has to anyway.
No, so but he said something which he should have begun his first statement with, and everybody said this. He said, "What has she done in the past 3.5 years?" She said she's going to. What has she done? That's where he should have gone.
I thought she was the vice president. She doesn't have that type of
Okay.
power. What can she do?
The vice president has certain duties.
Certain duties. Duties. That's a key word. Duties. What power is what I'm asking. What could she do? If I hire you to do a job and you do it, fantastic. But you start trying to boss people around who ain't, your subordinates.
Well,
I guess technically it would be vice president, but still.
She
ain't the commander in chief, so she wouldn't have any call on the army.
No, but she was the immigration czar. She broke ties in the book. She made key.
Okay, so fine then. You can throw the immigration thing at her. They try that. And that's not a bad angle because that is something they're winning on, immigration. So there you go. But what else can you put on her?
She also broke the tie in the Senate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That brought insulin down to Medicare recipients. And she said elderly, but it's Medicare recipients. I know this because
come on.
I deal in the insurance industry. Medicare recipients down to originally it was 30 and then they raised it to 35, but down to $35. That way they don't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. There's no deductible.
What is your point to this?
Okay. She could have, if he had begun with that, she could have said, I could have done that. This is what I did. Okay. And this is what I did. And this is what I'm going to build upon. So I think overall, as far, like I said, even Marla Radis, the senior reporter who's done more of these than anybody else, said that in debates and anybody has said, look, on policy, I didn't get anything. Nobody really knows who she is on policy. But as far as performance, she won. And nobody disagrees with that. If Trump wants to get anything back, and here's what I want to point out. She got a thing endorsement by Taylor Swift. Not a big deal. Really, when you think about it.
What, Taylor Swift? You said the Taylor Swift thing?
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty big
deal.
It's
big. It's important in that it'll get people out.
It will get youth. What's the biggest thing? Who is the biggest enemy to the Republicans when it comes to voting? The youth.
Okay.
Hold on. It's the youth.
Agreed.
So if they get that vote, that is going to actually be detrimental because they sure as hell don't know what they're voting for.
If they
get it. You realize when Taylor Swift announced her endorsement, over 100,000 people went to her website to register to vote.
To register to vote. That's my point. To register to vote.
Listen, if you can vote online, they're going to do it.
No. To register to vote.
Okay.
To register.
Okay.
You can be a registered voter. African Americans.
What is your point?
And people 18.
Say they're not going to vote. Just say they're not going to vote.
They're probably not going to vote.
Who voted in the last election? The youth. Most of the time when the Democrats win, who was the biggest voter? When Obama won, who was his biggest supporter? The youth. Don't tell me they're probably not, because when shit hits the fan, which I don't know if you fully understand this, but the abortion thing is really impactful to the youth. You mean to tell me they're not going to go out and vote? You are underestimating the pro-life. Not even pro-life, the pro-choice. That's what I'm going to say. That's a big deal to them. Regardless if they're ever going to get abortions or not, they just don't want government touching their bodies. They will vote heavily against that.
The government's not touching their bodies.
The government will touch their bodies if the state allows it. That's how they see it. Regardless of it's no. I want you to understand something. Don't take it literal. I'm telling you how they perceive it. Don't correct it, because I'm not down I'm telling you how they perceive it. State governments can make a ruling on who can do what, but there is a chance that it could be on the federal level. Trump never gave a word that he said he wouldn't sign a federal ban. That is still on the table, but we know who won't sign it: Harris. Regardless if Roe v. Wade can get overturned, at least there will not be a discussion of a federal ban.
He said,
Don't worry about it.
He said, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't need to deal with that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He said it's not going to land on my desk.
It doesn't matter.
Because
okay, but Seymour, understand from a youthful mindset, Trump's already considered a liar. That is not, hang on, that does not reassure anyone.
He says
it's not a reassuring statement.
He said it should be left up to the state.
I know that's what he said, but Seymour, I'm telling you right now from a standpoint, that's not a reassuring statement. It's just not. People want a yes or no. Will you sign it? He could have just said no, but you don't have to worry about it anyway. If he had just said no, I will agree with you. But he didn't do any of that. You don't. Here's the thing I'm starting to realize. You need to start every sentence with your answer, then explain. Because when you start explaining, people don't even care what your answer is. Because as far as they're concerned, your answer is no. Or the negative or whatever they're thinking. So if you're going to answer something, be direct and let them know up front, no, I will not sign it. But since he did, since he didn't do,
I agree with you.
Since he didn't do that, the youth are looking at this as a key topic. And they're going to look at this and say, you know what? I'm going to vote for Harris because at least I know that she's not going to vote for it. It ain't a question. It ain't a concern. It's a reassurance. And people will vote for reassurance before they vote for even facts.
Okay. You said they're going to vote for it before they vote for facts. And the fact is...
No, you go with the facts.
No. The fact is...
Do you remember?
They're voting based upon clips that they see on
people vote on emotion.
Okay. People also vote from their pocketbook.
Okay. Everyone votes for different reasons. I'm just giving you a reason why the youth will vote and what their intention will be from that standpoint.
And right now, people who are probably going to vote most are the people age 50.
You say that, but listen, presidential election of this magnitude, you got to understand that 2025 thing scares people too.
Well, okay, let's deal with the 2025 thing.
Okay.
Let's deal with the 2025 thing.
Let's wrap it up too. It's getting close.
Because, and we can end with,
there's
no proof. Well, the 2025 came out of the Heritage Organization, which is a conservative political think.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows. Yeah, we all know that. We are very aware.
There's no proof that it was ever sent or that he ever read it.
Okay. Well, what does that have to do with anything?
Okay. That's okay. You have liberal think tanks also in Washington, D.C., who want to pack the Supreme Court.
But that can't happen now unless they expand it.
That talk about expand. There's no proof that Biden ever agreed to that, but people said, yeah, that's what Biden's going to do. No, okay. That came from unless you can prove otherwise.
What proof do you want exactly? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I want proof that he actually read it.
Oh well, no. Let me tell you something. Here's the problem, because you're thinking about it from your perspective. I got to give you the other perspective. It's not even about if he's going to do it. It's about the people that he brings into his administration that will try to do it. Mind you, some of the co-authors of this are people from his previous administration. So that's the concern. Trump can sit here and say he never read it. Again, you just have to take it with a grain of salt. He probably didn't read it. Probably. But I don't think he's unfamiliar with it. I'm pretty sure he knows what it is if everyone else does. I think he's lying about that. Because it'd be foolish not to know if he's running for president and people keep putting your name on it. Why would you not want to know what it is? So hold on. With that being said,
he's not endorsed it.
It doesn't matter if he's endorsed it. The fact that it's a Republican branding. Again, you're missing the point. Whether he's in office, that means his cronies will be in office. The same people who authored it. That's the concern. And all they got to do is just woo him and be like, yeah, it'd be a great idea to do this. Whether he agree with it or not, he already president. You're like, okay, fine, whatever. He never said he would fight against it.
First of all,
okay. Did he ever denounce it?
Yes, he did.
He said, I know nothing about it. He says, it looks like some good ideas, some bad ideas. He never said it's a bad idea. He never just said, it's not something I will fully support. He just said, well, I wish them luck.
He said, no. What he said.
Oh, yes, he did. He did say, I wish them luck.
What he said at the debate was, I've never read the 2025. I don't want to read it. I'm not interested in it. Okay. End up. Okay. This is basically political hyperbole that's put out there. Okay. This is what's going to happen if you elect this man. Now, he's given it credence by the fact that he has the personality that gives it credence.
He has the affiliation. Again, people who were in his past administration helped put this together.
Okay. So the liberal think tanks out there say, well, we need to double the Supreme Court in order. Okay, we need to do away with the Senate Services Committee and just have the president appoint them. There are so many.
He disavows 2020 project, but he has long-standing ties with key architects. So what part is what? Again, I go back to the Dick Cheney thing about how most people think he was the mastermind behind what happened in the Middle East.
That's NBC. That's a liberal news.
Oh, see, don't hand me this liberal or not, okay? Because here's one thing you cannot deny. Some things are just being reported. This is a report, Trump disavows 2025 project, but he has long-standing ties to key architects. That is not saying...
Some key architects.
Yes, some key architects. That's all I'm saying. I said the same thing. Some people in his administration. That's the whole point. Whether he disavows it, they said he does. They're just saying, but he has long-standing, and that's true. That is all a factual statement. This is a
He's
fact.
a Republican. So he has... Yes, he has...
Okay, and that's the thing, right? Seymour, that's the thing. That's the whole thing. He's a Republican. This is a Republican-branded project. Whether he supports it or not.
It's a conservative.
Okay.
It also, I've read the 2025 book. It also bans books from schools.
Which that's happening in Florida. That's happening in Texas. You can't say it's not happening because it is happening.
Wait a minute. It's happening on a state level.
Okay, but the point is it's happening.
No. Wait a minute.
No, Seymour, just understand something. Do you believe in book banning?
Of course not.
It's happening, though. That's the point. It's happening.
Okay. First of all...
You ain't got to burn the books. You just ban them.
No. Let's understand, because as a writer and as... I feel very... Okay. Here, because I've had this argument with conservative friends, and they just jump on my case. And I'm just like, look, you have a problem. Going to the school district's not going to be a problem. Go to the governor.
I hear what you're saying, but the governor of Florida is implementing the book banning.
Okay.
The governor of Texas is implementing the book banning.
That's state.
Okay, still, the point I'm making, Seymour. Seymour, you're missing the grand scheme of it. Project 2025 is not an overnight project. It's a step-by-step process. It starts at a state, it goes to the federal. How did Jim Crow become more of a national thing? It started on the state level. Woodrow Wilson helped it make it more of a nationwide level. So that's the thing. It's little steps.
Here's why book banning will never happen, because it's happened in this country before.
We don't say it never happened. It's happened before.
Okay. And
history tends to repeat itself when people don't learn the lesson.
Listen, hear me out. It's happened in this country before. And
why won't it happen again? Tell me why it won't happen again.
The U.S. Supreme Court and laws were put into place
that can be overturned, right? If the Supreme Court overrules it, they can overrule that law, right?
It violates the First Amendment's freedom of speech.
Well, hold on a second. If you're already banning the books, you mean to tell me state constitutions don't have freedom of speech in them? Because they're banning books. You understand that? Like it is happening.
Okay. and they're being challenged.
They're challenged, but the books are still gone.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a state ban, okay, is going to be challenged at the Supreme at the state.
And what does the Supreme Court rules and Constitution? What do they say? Okay, it's good to ban these books. Then what does that do?
Supreme Court won't do that.
You tell me what they won't do, but I'm asking you, what if they do? Because anything can happen. We can't live in a world like these are impossibilities now, because that's not the world we live in. These things could very well happen. So I'm asking you a question. What do you think will happen if the Supreme Court says, okay.
It won't. It'll
No.
It'll throw it back to the state. It'll throw it back.
No, I'm asking you, what will happen if they do?
I'm not going to, because it won't. They won't.
No, listen, I never say never. That's all me. Never say never.
The Supreme Court, and this at the time was the most conservative Supreme Court in the country. At the turn of the century,
I hear you. You gotta wrap this up.
Okay. The Supreme Court doesn't like First Amendment issues, so they would say, let's go back. I'm going to throw this back.
I just know that. Listen, all I know is that the Supreme Court did rule that the Supreme Court. I know the Supreme Court did rule that the United States has no obligation to protect its citizens, and we looked that up. We confirmed that. You may not remember that, but we both looked that up.
The Supreme Court it violates the First Amendment right, and you can't.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, if the Supreme Court can dictate the law of the land, then that can be open interpretation.
Well, it can't.
You tell me it can't, but listen, I don't know. I'm just saying, never say never. That's all I'm saying. Never say never. Anything can happen.
I'm dealing with historical probabilities.
You're dealing with historical probabilities. I'm dealing with all probabilities because anything can happen. I understand the historical precedent, and I'm not knocking it, but I'm also looking at the climate and how things change over time. Not everything remains the same. People are arguing about the whole gun control. No founding father thought an AR-15 would exist, but here we are. Now we got to figure out how to deal with that thing. There was no founding father that understood the concepts of social media, but here we are. And you have to regulate that thing. Regulating sometimes meaning banning people for saying something. Is that infringement on speech? Some would say it is, others would say it's not.
I can answer that one.
It's not.
I can. There, in the late 50s and also again.
Go ahead, get to your point. So you gotta wrap this up.
The standard was based upon the 5 exceptions to First Amendment freedom are treasonous words or actions.
Okay, come on, you gotta go to the list. You gotta wrap this up.
Violent words or actions. Obscenity. Okay. Slander, which is spoken.
Yeah, I know.
And libel, which is written slander.
Yeah, all of that is relevant to social media.
Okay.
All of that is relevant to social media.
It's
irrelevant. Now, I'm going to tell you why it's irrelevant, because it's still a private business. You can't go to a movie theater and yell bomb or anything like that. You can't go to an airport and yell bomb. Same applies with a private business. That's what social media is. They have their rules and obligations based on the privacy. You sign those terms and agreements, you agree to their rules. Get all that First Amendment stuff. You agree to their terms when you said, I agree to use Facebook. You're obligated to be banned if you sign to their terms. Throw all that out the window. This is not a federal case. You're not going to jail for what you said. You're just getting put in Facebook jail. It's not an infringement on your First Amendment. That's a simple case. All of that what you're saying is all of that what you're saying
read those.
I bet they don't, but the fact is all of what you're saying is not false. It's just that's not what it's based on. These are private businesses. That's the thing people miss. This is not a town square. So because it's a private business, they can't ban you, and it's not a First Amendment violation.
And this right now, and for the past couple of years, there's been a bipartisan, or at least the past year, there have been a bipartisan efforts in Congress to get Facebook. People have said you've got blood on your hands.
Facebook, I guess.
Okay.
I guess.
Meta, all of these others.
Yeah, I guess.
That basically you can't put this stuff up there.
Yeah, but that's still, like I said, still a private business. You can't go to an airport and, like I said, That's the thing about it, right? A private business can kick you out for being unruly. If you go to a bar and start screaming obscenities and they kick you out, is that infringement on your First Amendment? No, it's a private bar. You can go on the street and yell at all you want to. The cops have to deal with that. But you're not doing that in my bar. That's the same thing with Facebook, Twitter, and all that. Just because Elon Musk let it run wild and Zuckerberg doesn't have anything to do with government. That's just how they operate their business. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to.
And well, there are
it's not as complicated.
There are FCC regulations.
Yeah, okay, FCC regulations. I give you that, but in the end, it's not something that's constitutional. That's the thing about it. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. You can make that argument, but like you said, FCC, private businesses, you got to go through those barriers first, because that's what we're talking about. You can't go on the radio and start screaming obscenities.
If you go on to Facebook and you say, "I'm going to kill this person," that's a violation of the First Amendment.
I hear you, but I see that a lot.
Okay.
I mean that.
Yeah, and we have actually seen that people who have gone on.
Okay, come on. Like I said, we gotta end the show.
Okay, look, guys, you can leave your comments. You can reach me at Right Stuff Seymour,
and you definitely want to like and subscribe. And I'm glad you people tuned in, at least those who are left watching. I hope you like what you saw. Sometimes the debates can be pretty heated. Sorry I'm not on camera too much. Got a lot to deal with. But hey, I appreciate you sticking in. Give a thumbs up. Give a like. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe.
And share.
Definitely share. See you next time, folks.
What are we going to name it? The debate about the debate?